The message came at 3:17 a.m., lighting up my phone screen in the darkness of my night shift at the hospital. Your things are in boxes outside. Don't try your key, it won't work. My sister's text was followed by a smiling emoji, as if she were sharing good news instead of destroying my life. I was halfway through my shift as a resident nurse, my scrubs still stained from a last emergency we handled. My hands trembled as I read the message again, hoping somehow the words would change. They didn't. Another text followed. Mom and Dad agreed. We need your room for my wedding planning. Don't make this difficult. I called immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. Then I tried Mom's number. Then Dad's. Nothing. They blocked me. Just like that, I was erased. The rain started as I drove home, heavy drops hammering against my windshield like accusations. I'd spent the last 5 years helping pay their mortgage, covering utilities, even paying for my sister Amanda's college tuition when she decided law school was her dream. Now my belongings were getting soaked in the midnight storm. When I pulled up to the house, my heart stopped. There, scattered across the front lawn like discarded trash, were my things. Books I collected since childhood, medical journals, family photos, everything I owned, drowning in puddles. The porch light was on, casting a harsh glow over the scene, and through the window I could see shadows moving. I tried my key. Just as Amanda had said, it didn't work. The lock had been changed probably hours ago while I was helping save lives in the ER. I knocked, then pounded on the door. No response. Open up, I shouted, my voice cracking. You can't do this. The curtain twitched, and I caught a glimpse of my mother's face, expressionless, before she let it fall back into place. They could see me, hear me, but they chose to ignore me. My phone buzzed again. Amanda, stop making a scene. The neighbors will call the police. I stared at my phone, tears mixing with the raindrops on the screen. Why? I typed back. I've given everything to this family. Her response was instant and cruel. And now we need more. My wedding venue costs $50,000. Your room will be perfect for storing decorations. Besides, you're almost 30. Time to grow up. I stood there, soaked to the bone, looking at the house I'd helped save from foreclosure just 2 years ago. The house where I'd spent countless nights studying for my nursing degree while working 2 jobs to help pay bills. The house that was supposed to be my home. A car slowed as it passed, probably a neighbor wondering about the scene unfolding on their perfect suburban street. I could imagine the gossip tomorrow. The eldest daughter, always so quiet, having a breakdown on the front lawn. With shaking hands, I began gathering what I could salvage. My medical books, ruined. My laptop, hopefully protected in its waterproof case. Photos of happier times, the edges curling in the rain. Each item felt heavier than the last, weighted with memories and betrayal. As I worked, a light came on in Amanda's room, my old room now, I supposed. She'd appeared at the window, phone in hand, probably recording my humiliation for her social media followers. She'd always been good at spinning stories, making herself the hero and everyone else the villain. I remembered how just last week, she asked to borrow my car for a wedding planning meeting. I'd agreed, of course. I always agreed. Even when she returned it with an empty tank and a new scratch on the door, I said nothing. That's what big sisters do, right? We sacrifice. But this was different. I managed to fit what I could in my car, leaving behind furniture and larger items. As I made my final trip across the lawn, the front door opened. Mom stood there, arms crossed, looking at me like I was a stranger. You understand, don't you? She said, her voice soft but firm. Amanda's wedding is important. She needs the space. I stared at her, this woman who taught me about kindness and family, now standing in the doorway while my life fell apart in the rain. I paid half the mortgage, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I covered Dad's medical bills last year. I bought Amanda's first car. Mom's face hardened. And we're grateful. But family means sacrifice. Amanda's future. What about my future? I cut in, feeling something break inside me. Where am I supposed to go? She shrugged, a gesture so casual it hurt more than any words could. You're a nurse. You make good money. Figure it out. The door closed with a final click, leaving me alone in the rain. My phone buzzed again. Amanda sending a series of laughing emojis followed by, "Bye sis, thanks for the room." I got into my car, hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. Through the windshield, I could see Amanda in my old room, already measuring the walls, probably planning her wedding storage. Dad appeared briefly, helping her move something, neither of them sparing a glance for the car in the driveway. I started the engine, not knowing where I was going. My shift at the hospital wouldn't start for another 14 hours, and I had nowhere to sleep. The reality hit me like a physical blow. I was homeless. As I drove through the rain-slicked streets, memories flooded back. The time I'd skipped my own graduation ceremony to work a double shift because Dad needed emergency dental surgery. The countless times I covered Amanda's shopping sprees because she needed to maintain appearances for law school. The way they'd all smiled and nodded when I mentioned maybe going back to school for my master's degree, then immediately changed the subject to Amanda's latest achievement. I ended up in the hospital parking lot, reclined in my car seat, surrounded by what remained of my life. My phone kept buzzing, Amanda posting on social media about her exciting room renovation, making no mention of where those renovations had left me. Around 6 a.m., my colleague Sarah found me there. One look at my face, the boxes in my backseat, and she understood. Without a word, she handed me her spare key. "I've got a pull-out couch," she said. "Stay as long as you need." I broke down then, really broke down, for the first time since reading Amanda's texts. Sarah held me while I sobbed, my scrubs still damp from the rain, my world completely shattered. But as the sun rose over the hospital parking lot, something else rose inside me too, a determination cold and hard as steel. They thought they could discard me like this, but I would just disappear. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. First, I canceled all the automatic payments I'd been making to their accounts, utilities, insurance, grocery deliveries, everything. Then I called the mortgage company where I was listed as a co-payer. "I need to remove myself from this account," I said, my voice steady. The representative asked if I was sure. I looked at Amanda's latest social media post showing her measuring my old room's windows for new curtains. Absolutely sure. Next, I called my lawyer, the one I'd hired last year when I first noticed money disappearing from our joint family account. When I'd started documenting everything just in case of something exactly like this. "Remember those papers we discussed?" I said. "I want to proceed." "It'll take everything they have," he warned. Another notification popped up. Amanda announcing her $50,000 venue booking, paid for with money I strongly suspected came from remortgaging the house I helped pay for. "Good," I replied. I ended the call and finally allowed myself to smile. They thought they'd thrown me away. But they'd forgotten one crucial detail. I had receipts for everything. Every payment, every loan, every time they'd used my credit because theirs was maxed out. And I had something else too. Patience. Sarah's couch became my bed for the next few weeks. I picked up extra shifts at the hospital. Not because I needed the money. I'd always been good at saving, but because it kept me busy, kept me focused. Every time I thought about going back, begging them to understand, I remembered Amanda's laughing emojis, Mom's casual shrug, the sight of my books drowning in the rain. They didn't try to contact me, not really. Amanda sent occasional texts, always asking for something. Did I still have Dad's cardiologist's number? Could I cover her car insurance just one more month? Would I contribute to her wedding registry? I left them all unread. Mom called once, leaving a voicemail that made my blood boil. "I hope you're not still upset about the room situation. Amanda's wedding is coming together beautifully. She's using your old dresser to store her veil. I know you understand. Family first, right?" Family first. They'd taught me that phrase like a religion. Wielded it like a weapon. Every time I gave up something, sacrificed something, it was because family comes first. Now I understood. In their minds, I wasn't really family. I was just a resource to be used and discarded. But I had learned from them, hadn't I? I learned about patience, about planning, about waiting for the perfect moment. And as I lay on Sarah's couch each night, I knew that moment was coming. It started small. The utility bills they couldn't pay without my help. The insurance premiums that lapsed. The credit card payments that started falling behind. I watched through social media as Amanda continued planning her dream wedding, oblivious to the financial storm brewing around her. "Just got my dream dress," she posted, followed by a string of heart emojis. "Only $12,000. Dad says nothing's too good for his little girl." I did the math in my head. The house payment they'd missed last month was $3,000. The property taxes coming due were another $8,000. And now a $12,000 dress. Numbers don't lie. That's one thing nursing taught me. And these numbers told a story of impending disaster. 3 months after they'd thrown my belongings into the rain, I received a call from my lawyer. "It's happening," he said. "The bank is moving to foreclose. Your documentation of payments makes you a priority creditor. Are you sure you want to proceed with our plan?" I looked at Amanda's latest post showing her wedding planning command center, my old room, now filled with boxes of expensive decorations, and her designer dress. In the background, I saw the window where I used to sit and study, dreaming of becoming a nurse while figuring out how to pay both my tuition and their bills. "Yes," I said. "I'm sure." The foreclosure notice went out the next day. I imagined their faces when they received it, the shock, the disbelief. By then, I had everything in place. The bank would seize the house, yes. But I had first right of purchase thanks to my documented contributions and clean credit history. They had no idea what was coming. They thought they'd thrown me away. But really, they'd just given me the push I needed to take everything back. And as I finally moved into my own apartment, setting up my salvaged belongings in a space that was truly mine, I knew the real story was just beginning. They wanted to play games with house keys and lock doors. Fine. But they were about to learn that sometimes the person you lock out ends up holding all the keys. The bank's letter would arrive tomorrow. And soon after that, they'd learn exactly who their new landlord would be. Sometimes karma needs a little help. And I was more than ready to assist. After all, family comes first, right? The foreclosure hit them like a tsunami they never saw coming. I watched it unfold through a series of increasingly panicked social media posts and text messages. First came Amanda's confused update. Some weird letter from the bank, mom's crying, whatever, back to wedding planning. Then, hours later, emergency family meeting. Can't believe this is happening. We've already paid for the venue. Finally, the desperate text I've been waiting for. "Hey sis, I know we haven't talked, but we really need your help. Mom and dad are freaking out. Something about the house. Call me?" I didn't call. Instead, I met with my lawyer and the bank representatives, reviewing the paperwork that would make me the owner of my childhood home. The price was fair, depreciated due to the foreclosure, and my documented contributions gave me priority buying rights. A small fortune in savings combined with a smart mortgage plan, and it was done. The day I signed the final papers, Amanda posted a tearful video. "Having to postpone my dream wedding. Can't believe the bank would do this to us. They're saying we have to be out in 30 days. This isn't fair." Fair. The word echoed in my mind as I held the new deed in my hands. Was it fair when they threw my belongings into the rain? Was it fair when they changed the locks without warning? Was it fair when they used my salary as their personal ATM for years? The official notice went out the next day. The house had been purchased by a corporation. My corporation set up specifically for this purpose. The previous owners could either vacate or apply to rent. Market rate, of course. No family discounts. I was in my office at the hospital when Mom's name flashed on my phone. For the first time in months, I answered. "How could you let this happen?" she demanded, her voice shrill. "We're your family. We're going to be homeless." Family? I kept my voice neutral, professional. I thought family meant sacrifice. "Isn't that what you taught me?" "This isn't funny," she snapped. "Your sister's wedding is ruined. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. We need you to fix this." "I am fixing it," I replied calmly. "The house has a new owner. If you want to stay, you'll need to apply as tenants. I believe the property management company sent over the paperwork." There was a long pause. I could almost hear the gears turning in her head. Property management. Wait, did you buy our house? "No," I corrected her. "I bought my house. The one I helped pay for, the one you kicked me out of. You can stay as my tenants. Rent is due on the 1st of each month. No exceptions." She started to cry then, not the manipulative tears I'd seen so many times before, but real, frightened sobs. "We can't afford market rent. You know that. Where are we supposed to go?" "You could try putting some boxes on the lawn," I suggested. "I hear that's an acceptable way to handle housing issues in this family." The line went dead. Hours later, Amanda stormed into my unit at the hospital, her face red with rage. Security must have let her up because of our shared last name. "You evil, selfish witch," she screamed, causing patients and staff to stare. "You're destroying our family over a stupid room." I continued checking my patient's vitals, not even looking at her. "You need to leave. This is a hospital." "No. You need to fix this. Cancel whatever you did with the bank. We can't rent from you. Do you know what that would look like?" Finally, I turned to face her. She was still wearing her designer clothes, her expensive engagement ring catching the fluorescent light. "Worse than throwing your sister's belongings into the rain? Worse than changing the locks on someone who paid your bills? Worse than spending $50,000 on a venue while your parents missed mortgage payments?" Her face crumpled. "That's different. It was my wedding. My future. And now it's my house," I replied simply. "The rental application is due by Friday if you want to stay. Credit check required, of course." "Credit check?" She practically shrieked. "You know we can't pass a credit check. Mom and Dad's credit is ruined, and mine is maxed out on wedding expenses." I finished for her. "That sounds like a personal problem. Now please leave before I call security." She left, but not before promising that I would regret this, that the family would never forgive me, that I was making a huge mistake. Her threats bounced off me like rain on a window. That evening, I drove by the house, my house now. The moving truck in the driveway told me they'd gotten the message. Amanda's wedding decorations were being loaded up, the $12,000 dress carried out in its protective bag. Mom stood on the porch, directing the movers, while Dad sat in his car, staring straight ahead. They'd found a small apartment across town, I learned later through the grapevine. Amanda had to move back in with them, her wedding indefinitely postponed. Her fiancé, seeing the financial disaster unfold, had quietly backed away. The house keys arrived the next day. I stood in the empty foyer, remembering all the times I'd walked through that door after a long shift, my pockets empty because I'd given them every spare penny. The room that had been mine, then Amanda's wedding storage, was bare now. Even the curtains were gone. I took out my phone and typed a message to the family group chat they'd removed me from months ago. "Rental applications are now open. 3-bedroom house. Good neighborhood. All utilities separate. First, last, and security deposit required. No exceptions. No special treatment. After all, family is family." Then I blocked their numbers, all of them, and began planning the renovations. The house needed work they'd never bothered to do, even with my money funding their lives. But that was okay. I had time, and more importantly, I had the keys. Sometimes karma comes in the form of a foreclosure notice. And sometimes the person you lock up ends up holding the deed to your whole world. 6 months passed. The house underwent a complete transformation. New hardwood floors replaced the old carpets stained with memories. Fresh paint covered the walls where family photos once hung. The room that had been mine, then Amanda's wedding headquarters, became my home office, a space dedicated to building my future rather than funding theirs. They tried everything to get back in. First came the guilt trips through mutual friends. Aunt Sarah called, her voice dripping with disapproval. "They're your parents. They're living in a tiny apartment. Amanda had to get a real job at a coffee shop. Is this what you wanted?" Actually, it was exactly what I wanted. Then came the legal threats. Amanda, with her half-finished law degree, sent a poorly worded letter threatening to sue for emotional damages and family property rights. My lawyer sent back a detailed list of my documented contributions to the house, along with bank statements showing years of their financial dependence on me. We never heard another word about lawsuits. The most surprising attempt came from Dad. He showed up one rainy evening, reminiscent of the night they'd locked me out. But this time, I was the one inside, watching through the security camera as he stood on the porch. "Please," he said to the camera, looking older than I remembered. "We made a mistake. We know that now. Just talk to us." I watched him on my phone screen, remembering all the times he dismissed my achievements because Amanda needed attention. All the times he called asking for money, never once asking how I was managing to support them all. I pressed the intercom button. "Applications for tenancy are still open. Market rate, credit check required. Have a good evening." He stood there for a long time, rain soaking through his jacket. Finally, he left, shoulders slumped, looking every bit as defeated as I had felt that night 6 months ago. The next attempt was more calculated. Mom ran into me accidentally at the grocery store. She'd lost weight, the designer clothes replaced by off-the-rack basics. You've made your point, she said, blocking my cart in the produce aisle. We understand now. We were wrong. But isn't it time to be a family again? I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. The hurt had burned away, leaving only cold clarity. We are being a family, I replied. This is exactly how you taught me family treats each other. Now excuse me, I need to get past. Your sister. She tried one last time. She's working 2 jobs now. Her fiancé left her. She's devastated. Sounds like she's finally learning about real life, I said, moving my cart around her. Something about that seems fair, don't you think? But the real test came during the holidays. December brought snow and a wave of nostalgia-laden manipulation attempts. Amanda sent a Christmas card with a photo of them in their small apartment, trying to look brave and happy. Miss you, sis. Family means forgiveness. I put the card through my shredder. Dad sent an email. Remember when you were little and we'd decorate the house together? The house is yours now, but maybe we could. Come help decorate. For old time's sake. Delete. Mom left a voicemail. The apartment is too small for Christmas dinner. We could come to the house. We'll bring everything. You won't have to do a thing. Please, honey. It's Christmas. I listened to it twice before blocking her new number. Instead of giving in to their holiday guilt trip, I hosted my own Christmas dinner. I invited Sarah from a hospital whose couch had sheltered me during my darkest days. I invited other friends who'd supported me, people who'd never asked for anything but my friendship in return. We filled the house with laughter and honest joy. No one asked me for money. No one reminded me that family means sacrifice. No one made me feel small so they could feel big. The next day, I drove past their apartment building. Christmas lights hung in their window, blinking sadly in the winter afternoon. Amanda's once expensive car sat in the parking lot, now sporting dents and a missing hubcap. Through the window, I could see them sitting down to what looked like a much smaller Christmas dinner than they were used to. For a moment, just a moment, I felt a twinge of, not guilt, exactly, remembrance maybe, of other Christmases, other dinners, when I believed that my sacrifices were building something meaningful. Then I remembered Amanda's laughing emojis the night they'd locked me out, Mom's casual shrug when I asked where I was supposed to go, Dad's silence as they'd watched me gather my rain-soaked belongings. I drove home to my home, my house, my safe space, where no one could demand pieces of me I wasn't willing to give. The new year brought more changes. Amanda's coffee shop job became a coffee shop management position. She was good at it, apparently. Mom found work as a receptionist. Dad came out of retirement to work part-time at a hardware store. They were learning to support themselves, something they should have done years ago. One evening, as winter melted into spring, I found a thick envelope in my mailbox. Inside was a check, not a large one, but a check nonetheless, and a letter. Dear Sis, Amanda's handwriting, but different somehow. Humbler. This is the first payment. I calculated that I owe you approximately $63,000 for everything you've given me over the years. At $300 a month, it will take me 17.5 years to pay you back. I know it's not much, but it's what I can afford right now. I'm starting with the car you bought me in college. You were right. I needed to learn about real life. I'm learning now. I looked at the check for a long time. Then I took out my phone and did something I hadn't done in months. I replied to her. Check received. Payment plan accepted. This doesn't change anything about the house or our relationship, but I acknowledge your effort to make amends. Her response came quickly. I understand. Thank you for accepting the payments. I really am sorry for everything. I didn't reply to that. Some things don't need a response. Some lessons are better learned in silence. That night, I sat in my office, the room that had once been the center of so much drama, and looked out at the spring flowers beginning to bloom in my garden. My garden, my house, my life. No more sacrifices, no more demands, no more giving until I had nothing left. They were learning to live without me, and I had learned to live for myself. Sometimes the happiest endings don't involve forgiveness or reunion. Sometimes they just involve freedom. 1 year to the day after I'd become their landlord, I received an unexpected email from Amanda's old fiancé, Marcus. I thought you should know, he wrote. Your sister has changed. She's working hard, living within her means, and actually apologized to me for her past behavior. I've never seen anything like it. We're getting married next month, small ceremony at the courthouse. No expensive venue or designer dress. She insisted on paying for everything herself. I sat back in my office chair, letting it sink in. Through my window, I could see the garden I'd planted, flowers blooming where there had once been only weeds. Change, like flowers, takes time to root and grow. That same week, Mom's letter arrived. Not a demand or a guilt trip, but something different. "I've been seeing a therapist," she wrote. "She's helping me understand how badly we treated you, how we took advantage of your kindness and called it family duty. I'm not asking for forgiveness or for things to go back to how they were. I just want you to know that I understand now, and I'm sorry. Truly sorry." Dad's attempt at amends came in the form of a large manila envelope. Inside were old photographs I thought had been lost in the rain that night, carefully restored, meticulously preserved. My graduation photos, childhood memories, moments he'd managed to save. No note, no demands, just the return of pieces of my past I thought were gone forever. Their apartment lease was coming up for renewal. I knew this because I still had access to their rental application information. They paid their rent on time every month, lived quietly, caused no problems. They'd learned something about responsibility, it seemed. I made a decision then, not out of forgiveness, but out of recognition. Recognition of change, of growth, of lessons learned. I had my lawyer draw up new rental agreements, not for their apartment, but for my house. 3 separate agreements, one for each of them. Market rate, but with clearly defined boundaries and expectations. No family discounts, no special treatment, just clean, professional landlord-tenant relationships. The offer went out on a Tuesday. By Wednesday, all 3 had responded, accepting the terms without argument or plea for special consideration. Moving day came. I watched through the security cameras as they carried their belongings inside, so much less than they'd had before. But somehow they seemed lighter for it. Amanda went straight to the smallest bedroom, not her old room, not my old room. She'd learned about space and boundaries. Mom and Dad took the basement apartment I have renovated. Separate entrance, separate lives. No more assumptions about shared space or shared resources. We didn't have a family dinner that night. We didn't hug or cry or pretend everything was fixed. Instead, they signed their leases, received their keys, and moved in like any other tenants. The next morning, I found an envelope taped to my office door. Inside was Amanda's latest payment check, along with a brief note. "Thank you for the fresh start, not as family, but as tenants. We understand the difference now." Life settled into a new pattern. They lived downstairs and in the far bedroom. I lived my life in the rest of the house. We passed each other sometimes, exchanged polite nods, kept our distance. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, maybe not ever. But it was something else, something like respect. Their rent checks came on time. Amanda's repayment checks arrived monthly. Mom's therapy continued. Dad's hardware store job became a management position. They were building their own lives, finally, without using mine as a foundation. One evening, as I sat in my garden watching the sunset, I realized something important. Sometimes the happy ending isn't about forgiveness or reconciliation. Sometimes it's about boundaries, about growth, about learning to exist in the same space without sacrificing yourself. They were my tenants now, not my burden. And I was their landlord, not their ATM. It wasn't the family relationship they wanted, but it was the professional one they needed. In the end, they hadn't just lost a house. They lost the right to demand my sacrifice. And in losing that, they found something more valuable, the ability to stand on their own. As for me, I found something too, not just a house or financial freedom, but the strength to say no, to set boundaries, to let people face the consequences of their actions. Sometimes the happiest ending is simply the freedom to live your life on your own terms, even if that means redefining what family means to you. After all, home isn't just about 4 walls and a roof. It's about feeling safe, respected, and valued. And sometimes you have to become your own landlord to finally feel at home.